Hello, everyone. I am so excited for today's episode. I interviewed one of my students of Soul Mastery School that has been with me for a year and a half, Charlotte Estrada, and we had such an incredible conversation all about her transformation, what she experienced through the program, and how much her life has changed since joining my Soul Mastery School. Not only did she show up for herself and work very hard and absorb all the information and content, but she really applied it to her life and started showing up differently. She's a mother of five, a social worker, and now she's moving into becoming a coach for trauma informed, subconscious, and somatic work. It's really beautiful to see her transformation, and I'm so honored and touched. There was multiple times where I was tearing up for how beautiful her transformation was, and I'm just so honored to be a part of her journey. She's making massive generational changes. She's healing generational patterns in her family line, and it's really beautiful to see that because this is the work that I came forth to do. I did do the work and I create everything that I've created through my courses, through all of my free content online, because I wanted to change people's lives. I struggled as a child. I experienced a lot of my own trauma. There was a lot of fighting and arguing and conflict in my household with very little communication that was healthy. And so to know that the work that I do now is changing families. When Charlotte came to me, she just wanted to be happier. She was not happy. She was in a dark place, and her manifestation goals were very simple. She just wanted to feel more peace, more joy, more fulfillment. And because of that, she started doing the inner work. She really changed who she was and how she was showing up, how she was thinking, how she was acting. And not only did she reach her goal of genuinely becoming a happier person, she completely changed the dynamic in her own family and in her household. She was on the verge of a divorce and healed her entire marriage. She was, not showing up well for her children and just kind of being angry. And I mean, it's so stressful. I grew up in a family of five, so I completely understand and empathize with where she's coming from because having a family of five children, growing up in a family of five, it's hard. There's so many personalities and everyone's bouncing off the walls doing different things. And it's very, very challenging. I can only imagine her as a mother, dealing with what she has to deal with and being able to now show up as a better mother for her children. And not only did she just heal herself and her relationship with her kids and her husband, but her goal was just to be happy. And in the end, she ended up landing a job as a social worker. She was inspired to become a coach herself. And now she has started her own podcast, which I am so honored and excited to be a part of. I'm actually interviewed on her podcast as well. So you might want to go check that out, Healing and Dealing with Charlotte Estrada. And it's just such an honor to be a part of her journey, to be a part of her transformation and see how far she's come. So I'm so excited for this episode. I can't wait for you all to listen and dive in and just be genuinely inspired by her journey.
Hello and welcome, everyone. I am so excited for today's interview. I have Charlotte Estrada, who has been in my Soul Mastery School for over a year now. You probably know better when you enrolled, but we're just going to talk today about her experience, her transformation, everything she's gone through, and what her life looks like now after really focusing on manifestation, mindset, and developing her intuition, and how that's shifted every facet of her life. So welcome, Charlotte. Maybe you can give a little introduction for yourself, tell our audience
Yes.
about you, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be in this spot because I dreamed about it the whole time I was taking your course. Someday I'm going to give my testimony and I'm there. I'm here giving it. So I'm super excited about that. So yeah, I'm Charlotte, 36, mom of five. I'm married. I'm a social worker, and I also am becoming a coach myself, subconscious and mindset coach. And I also started my own podcast about a month ago called Healing and Dealing.
Yeah, I'm so excited for your podcast. What a wonderful topic. I was interviewed on your podcast, which is also great. Our listeners can go check out what you have going on because healing is such a massive part of our life, something that we all need and experience. And you have so much wonderful things to share and a lot of stories to tell
Yeah.
too, to inspire people.
Yeah, the podcast is it's become an outlet for me to heal myself and then heal others at the same time. You were my first like real guest on the podcast, which was so great because you were such a pivotal part of my journey and really growing into who I am today. And it's been a year and a half since I joined your program.
Mm.
So a full 18 months, of just doing a lot of inner work. Yeah, the podcast is just a reflection of that, honestly. And so far I've done, a lot of recordings with people who, have real, raw, authentic stories that, you know, haven't ever shared them before. And other people are already relating and reaching out and just so thankful that they're not alone in this healing process. And just having someone to understand your journey, it really can be healing and help you get through those challenging moments. So yeah, I'm
I
excited, super excited.
agree. Yeah, and you know, in life, I think sometimes we have this image of who we're supposed to be and that everyone else is normal and happy. But really, we all have a lot of similar struggles.
Yeah.
And in order to create deeper connection on planet Earth while we're living in these bodies in this time and space, being able to be vulnerable, to share our hardships, the things that we go through, and know that you're not alone. There are other
Yeah.
people that are struggling, that are wanting a better life, that are transforming their lives and have gone from A to Z and made it to the other side. And the more we can share
Yes.
our stories and realize, wow, it's okay. Like I'm going to be okay. My life is going to be okay. I'm not the only one. That
Yep.
makes such a big difference. I think sometimes there's this limited belief and this mental block that I'm alone and it's only me. And
Yeah.
it's not.
Yeah, and I think that's the most beautiful part of the podcast is each person who comes on and shares, either their trauma or something that they went through in their life. There's always a beautiful message at the end because it seems like when you go through these really hard, terrible times, something beautiful comes out of it. It's like you have to be cracked open in order to experience like the next level, if you say.
Exactly. In order to see yourself more and uncover the things, we have to kind of go deep
Yeah.
sometimes. And that's
Yes.
such a beautiful process. I think stories of transformation is so important. And I love bringing guests on, including you, to talk about transformation because it inspires everyone. I feel like
Yeah.
our individual stories, everyone has their own story. Whoever you are, wherever you are, you have a story that's going to inspire the world in some way, shape, or form. Someone's going to resonate with what you've been through, what you have to say, and what
Mm,
you've been experiencing. So, with that said, let's chat about your transformation. So,
yeah.
first off, where were you before you joined Soul Mastery School? What were you struggling with? What were you looking to manifest or accomplish? And what was going on in your life at that point?
Gosh, where do I start? um, I was in a really dark, low place. And, I have years of childhood trauma that I was trying to sort through um, on my own for the most part. I did a little bit of therapy, but I always kind of like put my big girl pants on and just said, I can do this. And I just like trucked it basically throughout my most of my adulthood and having kids and getting married. But then it just hit me like a wall. It was like everything I thought was going well in my mind, everything just shifted. So I had so much negative talk inside my head. I was creating this and exuding this negative energy to people around me. I couldn't understand why I was doing it. I was drinking a lot heavily. I was self medicating. But on the outside, no one would know that. I was, working. I was a good mom, wife, but internally, I was just dying. Like I felt like I had nowhere to turn. And I wasn't really in a place to get therapy because I wasn't working and I didn't have, like to pay out of pocket. It's really expensive. And I was just lost, honestly, on many different levels. Even in my marriage, we were fighting a lot. There was a lot of conflict in my family unit just because of communication issues. And I felt like I was kind of like pulling or holding on to this trash bag of garbage my whole life, and just didn't know how to let it go and be free from that childhood trauma and create my own beautiful life without having any of those limiting beliefs and just negativity and trauma holding me down. So yeah, I was struggling bad, and when I was just on Instagram and something of yours popped up and I was like, "Oh, what's this?" And I heard like something you said and I just felt it. I felt it in my gut that this was something that could actually help me right now because I was in such a negative place. I didn't understand my intuition yet. I could hear it and I felt it, but I wasn't following it. I wasn't aligned with it at all. And seeing something you posted just sparked something in me immediately. And I kind of like dug more into it. I took I think it's a master class that you offer. And I was like, I'm so sold. This is going to be it. This is going to help me. I know it. And I believed it. Right.
Hmm.
So yeah, that was the beginning of the transformation for me.
Awesome. I love that. And was there anything in particular that got you to take that leap of faith and move forward? Was it a feeling? Was it an emotion or the vision that you had for yourself? What, if you could pinpoint it or
Yeah.
describe it, what do you
Yeah.
think that would be?
A little desperation in myself, honestly, because
Mm.
I'm someone that believes in divine timing, and I knew for some reason you had come onto my phone at that moment, and I was at such a low place. It was like this is happening for a reason, and I could feel it, and I knew this I've been telling myself for so long, there's gotta be a better way to live my life. I want peace. I want to feel happy every day and not mad and fighting with people. And it was just a feeling, I guess, that I got, and I even, struggled financially, and I didn't care. It was like I'm going to make this investment and I'm going to make it worth it. I'm going to make sure that I get everything I can from it. And, even someone who lives paycheck to paycheck, it's something that I was willing to just jump and do it. And thank God I did because it literally changed my whole life. It's crazy to think back to where I was and where I am now and
Yeah.
how all the steps that you go through really just shifted my perspective.
Hmm. So for you, when once you got into the academy, or now it's Soul Mastery School, I've rebranded it.
Okay.
um, what results were you looking for? Were there certain things you were wanting to manifest? Because I know for some people, their manifestations are physical, tangible things. For others, it's an emotional place. And it sounds like for you, it
Yeah.
was more how you wanted to feel day in and day out. So, what was
Yes.
your vision and your goal of what you wanted to create and come out of with doing Soul
Right.
Mastery School?
Everything about it was internal. There was nothing tangible that I wanted. Always felt like I have everything I want in a sense, and I have everything I need. It was all inside of me. So the things that I wanted to manifest was peace inside my body, or communicate better with my family, have less react. Like I was so reactive back then. I would just get mad and a whole full-blown argument would happen. I wanted to be less reactive. I wanted to be more mindful. I just really wanted to dig into myself and what I could manifest in myself to be the person that I knew I wanted to be. She was in there. It was just like dig through all the crap first.
Hmm. And
And we did
so,
that.
oh, nice. Well, and through the last year and a half, what kind of transformation did you have? What results did you see internally and externally from doing the work to actually reevaluate your life and show up
Yeah,
differently? Which is really the foundation of the work. Is just
right.
let's see what's happening here, and what do I need to change in order to get what I want, whether that's an internal feeling or an external item.
Yeah. The one of the biggest things was my ego
Mhm.
and learning about it in your program. I mean, in everyday life, you just don't hear about all these different what are they called? Like ego types or
I use the word sub personalities. So we have our
yes,
ego, which is how we play out of survival mode, and then
right.
your sub personality is how we show up as like a different version of ourselves for all these different facets of life. Like with one
Yeah.
person, we act this way; in a different situation, we act that way, and so we have things that trigger us to act out different personality types based off of
Yeah.
survival mode of
Mhm.
how do I stay safe in this situation. So we have all these funky coping mechanisms, which is sometimes
Yep.
lashing out, getting angry. Sometimes it's being quiet and freezing. Other times it's just making everyone else happy. Sometimes it's little white lies and half truths in order to protect ourselves, or we
Yes.
do all kinds of really interesting things in order
Yeah.
to unconsciously protect ourselves. And most of us don't know we're doing this until you dig into the work and you actually learn the information,
Yeah.
reflect on it, and start to question, who am I and how am I showing up?
Exactly. When I went through that list, I was so shocked at how many I felt resonated with me. I was like, "Oh my gosh, like, am I this egotistical monster?" And like, but it made me think, okay, there's a reason why I'm showing up like that, and every single one was tied to some trauma that I'd had when I was little. And it was always, I was always in fight or flight mode for most of my life. And I also did the same thing with people pleasing and or just reacting, lashing out. So I almost hit every box, honestly. And
Yeah.
I remember after doing that, I went home to my husband and I was like, oh my gosh, I felt like overwhelmed in a sense because I knew I had so much that I needed to really work on in order to shed all of that. And I know I wasn't going to be perfect ever, but just being aware of it was just mind-blowing for me. I loved that I was finally aware of these things that I was doing and the reasons why I was doing them, because that's really where I was lost. I knew I was acting certain ways, but why was I acting like that? And so it all just started like a puzzle come together. And then also the inner child healing, that has benefited me immensely, and I never had heard of that before taking your program. I did the meditation. I prepared for it first. Like, I watched your module. I took massive notes and I really had to prepare myself for that one because I knew it was going to be deep. And let me tell you, it was deep. When you took me through that meditation and I got to reconnect with that little girl who was, very scared and unsafe and, just a whole plethora of things, it was the most beautiful moment. I was crying, I was hugging her, and I was just telling her, like, how safe she is and it's gonna be okay. And that I could say that's one of the top 3 things in your program that changed me, because creating that relationship with her has helped me so much as an adult, it truly has. Trying to think of the other one, I got so caught up in the inner child.
Well, I mean, that's
Um,
beautiful. And I love what you've already shared, because for me, it was very similar. The reason why I created this program was because I struggled too. Those lists of all the negative patterns that the ego plays out, I did every
mhm,
single one of them in my life. And I did them for years and decades. And that was what was holding me back too from reaching my full
yeah,
potential, for being happy and calm. I too have childhood traumas and lived out so many unhealthy patterns.
yeah,
And, for our listeners, understanding that it's okay and it's actually very common. It's somewhat normal to have a lot of unconscious traumas and a lot of unconscious unhealthy patterns that the ego is playing out. And it doesn't
right,
mean you can't manifest what you want, or that it doesn't mean you're a bad person either. It just means this is a part of the program that's playing in the background. And once you shed light on it, and if you don't
yes,
learn the information, you don't know what you're looking at or what you're looking for. But once you do, all of a sudden, now we can start healing. We can't
yeah,
heal until we know what needs to be healed. And
exactly.
that was a part of my journey. And the reason why I put these pieces of content in the program is because this is what helped me the most too. And so I love
Mm,
hearing from my students how much it has helped them, because it was so powerful for me, and it's powerful for everyone listening as well, to be able to see themselves in a different
right,
light, and to tell yourself, you know what, it is okay. I
yeah,
don't need to blame myself. I don't need to be hard on myself. And that's what we commonly do. And that's what I did at first too, was,
mhm,
oh my goodness, how am I, why am I this person? Why am I showing up this way? Why am I lashing out and overreacting and being overly emotional and dramatizing and being the victim and all of these things that we naturally unconsciously do? And
yep,
when you can see that part of yourself, again, as a subpersonality or your inner child that's
mhm,
struggling and just hurt and doesn't know anything else other than I'm going to throw a tantrum,
yep,
then you have to love on that part of yourself, that piece of yourself, instead of being so
yes,
hard on yourself. And when that pattern shifts and changes, that's when the healing and the transformation really happens. That's when suddenly you can start finding peace in life and creating more of what you
Yeah.
truly want.
Yeah, I can recall a day I was sitting in the parking lot, waiting to pick up my daughter, and I it was right, towards the end, I think, of the, class I was taking with you, and I remember texting my husband, and I said, "I feel so happy right now. I feel like nothing can bring me down." And I
Mhm,
remember that feeling I had that day, and I truly, honestly felt it, and I hadn't felt that in so long, and it was the mixture of learning it and then feeling the kind of the overwhelmed feeling, but then letting it go and giving myself permission and compassion and just really falling into who I really truly wanted to be. And
mhm,
I never saw that coming, honestly. I didn't. So I still think about it and I'm just like, wow, that was such a crazy time, actually
mhm,
in the program. But I was telling you earlier, I have all my notes here that I'll show.
mhm.
I mean, I was living and breathing this whole thing and it's like page after page of notes, like all
Yeah,
the
I love that you have your notebook with all of your notes because that's what I say in the introduction of my course is you have to take copious notes. You have to take a lot of notes and you have to go back and review your notes because the only way to retain the information is to be diligent
yeah,
and to review. We forget 90 something percent of what we learn if we're just listening or reading within a week
right. Yeah.
unless we take notes and we go back and we actually take the action, which you're like the quintessential perfect student who did all the right things, which I love. And you can see the results. And one thing I want our audience to notice and hear is that you came in with the intention of just feeling peaceful and and feeling more at ease, not being so reactive and, living out of
Yes.
stress patterns. But then in the last year and a half, through doing that work, even with just the intention of, I just want to feel happier,
Mhm.
what are some of the external things that happen? Because you have been off of alcohol for almost a year now, I believe. You're now doing a podcast, you're now becoming a coach. So even though you didn't have any of these intentions going into the program, you didn't have
Right.
a lot of external things. What are those external things that just kind of magically happened because of your
Ugh,
transformation?
I just got the chills.
This is the
Yeah,
exciting part, yeah.
it's so beautiful to recognize and acknowledge, the transformation. And yeah, it through your program, I knew that I wanted to stop drinking alcohol. I knew that it was blocking me from anything better that I was going to achieve. And I came to you about that many times, and you were so
Mhm,
helpful. You gave me such encouraging words and really helped me think and question, what is my relationship and with alcohol. And I finally got to a place where I stopped over 8 months ago, and I have not wanted to drink again, which is amazing. My life has improved immensely after letting go of one thing,
yeah.
And then on top of that, my like me, when I'm calm and I'm less reactive and I'm not defensive and I'm not in fight or flight mode, everyone around me reacts differently to me. So all of my relationships have improved. I was ready to leave my husband back then. Like,
Mhm,
I was on the verge of divorce from a 10-year relationship or 12-year relationship. I was just pointing fingers at everyone else. And when I decided to start pointing the finger at myself, that's when the real change started. And now it's like we hardly fight. We hardly have any issues anymore because we're able it's honestly it was mostly me because I was so bunched up, so stressed, so full of, just my own negative energy that I couldn't relax and just enjoy life. And yeah, now I'm enjoying life with him and our kids. I've That was one of the things that I also wanted to manifest was having a better relationship with all of my kids. And I mean, the relationship was good, but I just wanted it to be better. I wanted to have better communication. I wanted them to feel heard. I wanted to be able to be there for them in ways that, like with drinking, I couldn't be there for them completely. I wasn't 100% present. So now it's like I'm fully there. I feel every single moment through the good and the bad. I'm not numbing with anything. And I mean, when it comes to professionalism, it's like a skyrocket. Like in my mind, uncovering all of the limiting beliefs in your program just blew everything out of the water for me. It was like, wow, I didn't even know I had those. I didn't even know I had limiting beliefs that were holding me back from this beautiful life that I could be living. And you helped me uncover that and learn everyone and dissect them and really, figure out what the truth is, because they're like these things that we have for so many years that we believe to be true. And I mean, my limiting belief was I don't know how to communicate. That was one of them. And after doing all the work, it's like I can communicate. I am able to communicate. And maybe, before I had that limiting belief because I never saw anyone communicate correctly, but been able to really change that and transform into someone who can communicate effectively and calmly.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I could literally go on and on. And then having the believing in myself enough to start a podcast, to have my voice be heard by so many people, and to share my story of growth and transformation, that's like the all-time winner for me because this is me being able to be creative and in this beautiful flow that I am loving. And then it's also me being able to help other people, which is, a passion of mine and something that I'll do for the rest of my life because every story that I hear, every story that we share on the podcast, I know it's helping others and it's like a ripple effect.
Mhm.
And I wouldn't be in this even close to this state of mind without doing all that work in the very beginning, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a
I
lot.
I'm like on the verge of tears for the last 5 minutes with you talking.
Oh my
Just
gosh.
I'm so overwhelmed by the fact that I helped you save your marriage
You did.
and I helped you have better relationships with your kids. Like, I'm crying. I come from a family of 5. Like, I have 4 sisters, so I know what it's like when you're in a big family and that dynamic of having that many people in the house. It's
Yeah.
hard. It is so hard with that many personalities.
Yeah.
And I'm still having deep conversations with my family members, even like the last couple of weeks, about healing our childhoods together. And
Mhm.
the fact that, when I created this coursework and I started doing this work, it was because I had struggled so much and I have
Yeah.
worked so hard to get to where I am. And the fact that I'm now seeing that, I feel like
You are.
it's come full circle with this interview for me. The fact that I am able to help you on this level and see the amazing work and how it has completely changed your family, your relationships. I mean, the work that you're now doing to help others, and
Yeah.
you have this peace. And I'm so overwhelmed. There's almost no words. Like, I just want to start bawling and crying because I'm
I
so
feel
grateful
like
for you, and I'm so happy that I could be a part of this. That
yeah, you
I'm just
truly
so
are.
honored. I really am honored to help you and every single one of my students. I am so humbled by the fact that this is the work that we're doing together. Love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, and it's like we're a mirror of each other, and I
Yeah.
truly believe that. Your story is my story is your story, and so many others. And that's why your work is so effective because you know firsthand what it's like. And you're not just some coach coming out of the woodworks like with this whole plan. Like you felt it. You felt the pain.
Mhm.
You went through years of struggling and you packaged it so beautifully for someone like me to come along like, oh, what's this? And then my
Mhm.
whole life is transformed.
Yeah.
Like that's so beautiful.
Yeah. And that's really always been my goal is I want to help the people that are struggling the most because
Yeah.
those are the ones that need a lifeline. They need
Yeah.
guidance, they need an outline, they need the education, they need the support in the community and with my group coaching, getting on Zoom calls with me. So, I mean, we had so many deep conversations, especially in those first
Yes.
6 months you came on and we were talking about heavy things. We were talking about your relationship, we were talking about your marriage, we were talking about the alcohol and
Yep.
all of these things because they need to be talked about and in a space where you have someone and other people that can support you and get it and understand and aren't going to shame you and blame you and tell you you're a bad person. You're not, because none of us are. Those of us that are struggling with any of these things, we are not bad people inherently. That's not
Right.
how it works. We have good intentions. It's just sometimes we didn't have the guidance, the education, the support that we needed in those early years. And
Mhm.
we can find it now as adults, which
Yeah.
is really beautiful and really important. So I'm just so honored
Yeah,
to
I
be.
wanna say about the group coaching calls, those were pivotal for me too, and I remember the first one we got on, I was like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna talk to Natalie." I was, like, so excited. I felt like you were a celebrity, like, I was watching you every day on all the modules and, like, taking notes and all that, and then finally when we were talking, I was like, I totally had that, like, feeling of, like, meeting a celebrity or it
Mhm.
was which, I mean, to me, you are. You're this amazing person and influencer and coach and, this manifesting queen, so it's like, it was so cool to work with you in that, like, really intimate space.
Mhm.
I was able to get, like, clear answers that were specific to me, which was priceless.
Mhm.
They were I was going through heavy, heavy stuff, and you weren't afraid of it. You were like you would give me the best advice and really help me think deeper about everything, and my husband loved it. He like, anytime we had a problem and I would come back with what you told me, he'd be like, "You need to stick with her." Like, that's really because it was usually me. It was usually me that was, like, being super defensive or just, like, not looking at the situation, like, from a good perspective, or
Mhm.
balanced perspective, and you were able to, like, in the most nicest, effective way possible, like, show me both sides of things where it's like, "Wow, yeah." I literally have notes in my phone of the Facebook, um, I would do posts of questions to you or like to the group, and you would reply back with these like amazing answers. And so I would copy it and paste it in my notes. And I go back to it still to this day because your words are so profound and they just like hit that spot. For me, they really do. So I still refer back to them and the meditations at least like 2 times a week. I'm using your meditations. I love them. And that's the other thing, you introduced me to meditation, like, that created a whole new world for me too.
Love
So,
it.
there's
Yeah.
there's so many different faucets that just came from this one decision I decided to make to join you, and can't be more thankful.
Mm. Well, I'm so grateful that you did join and that you have transformed your life. It's been so beautiful and such an honor having you. And I just love when the students come in and they're just so eager to learn and just soak up the information and actually apply it because that's where the transformation happened. You were willing to do the hard work. You were willing to look at yourself and make those changes and be consistent with making the changes and going deep. And that's
Yeah,
really what it takes. I just feel like this concept of manifestation, it's this bubbly, oh, just visualize, just affirmations, but
right.
manifesting a really good life where you do feel happy and peaceful and safe and you start reaching for things outside of yourself you never thought you would do or get or
Mhm,
experience. It is the deep work. It really is the
mhm.
deep work. If you really want to do it and do it well and experience it to the fullest and continue having one transformation after another, year after year, decade after decade of your life, it's this
Yeah,
type of deep work, but you have to be willing to do it. And not everyone is willing to do it.
yeah.
But when you do, these are the kind of results that you get, which is absolutely amazing and beautiful. So for you, what would you say to someone who's thinking of joining Soul Mastery School, but maybe they're on the fence? And what would you recommend to them?
I would recommend if you're even thinking about it, you should do it because there's something inside of you that's telling you that this might be good for you. You cannot that you can't go wrong with it either way. So, I mean, for me, it was a pretty fast decision. I made it within like 30 minutes probably after finding out about it. So, and I'm a really indecisive person. It takes me a long time to decide stuff, and I knew if I felt it a little bit that I should just go for it. So, if you are ready and willing to look at yourself and really dig into who you are and personal development, this is the perfect spot to start because it opened up a whole new world for me and I know it would for anybody who decided to join.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Charlotte, for being here today. I'm so excited for everyone to hear your story and all the beautiful things that you're now living and this new journey that you're on, becoming a coach and doing your podcast. I'm so excited for you. It's
Thank
absolutely
you.
beautiful, the magic and miracles that are happening in your life. And so I'll make sure that in the show notes here that we include a link to your podcast so everyone can check that out and
Thank
hear
you.
more transformational stories through all of the wonderful interviews that you're doing. And I'm just so excited for you and so honored to continue watching as you continue to progress over the next years too.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. This was such an honor.
Oh, thank you so much.